to open yours first?
No, go ahead.
Joint meeting of the North Smithfield Town Council with the School Committee on February 25th, 2019 is called to order at 6:35 p.m. Clerk, prayer and pledge.
Lord, assist with that Holy Spirit of the council, all those who serve in the positions of authority and responsibility.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Bartolome. Here. Mrs. O'Hara.
Here.
Mr. Ogier.
Here.
Mr. Zelinski.
Here.
Mr. Wagner.
Here.
I'd like to call the special joint meeting between the North Smithfield School Committee and Town Council to order on February 25th, 2019. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Lombardi?
Present.
Mrs. Sheriff? Here. Mr. Connell?
Mr. Connell, tax making sign and white.
Mrs. Johannes?
Same.
Mr. Jones? Here. Mrs. Mayo?
Here.
And Mrs. Bottom? Here.
If anyone in the public can't hear us, please let us know. We are going to open it up for questions, if you do have any questions. Okay. So, you want us to start? What, Mr. President?
Well, I think it's really, we're looking for information, input from your board, really,
Sure.
the administration, so do the 2019-2020 school department budget, so over to you.
Superintendent, you want to lead off?
Sure. I figure what we'll do with the items on the agenda, that maybe I'll do a 2, 3, 4 minute sort of summary highlight at the top, and then we can go into any kind of questions or discussion that you would like. I do want to point out, I'm going to have them introduce themselves. I brought the administrative team here from our schools and central office, so we have a lot of expertise. One of the things I will, however, try to highlight is that we get very excited talking about what we do, and we're going to try very hard to keep it concise and not get too overwhelming or too powerful, because this is what we do and we really enjoy it. So let's just do a quick introduction.
Hi, Claire Arnold, Assistant Superintendent. Jen Diego, Principal of North Smithfield Elementary School. Rachel Salvatore, Assistant Principal at Palo Alto North Smithfield Elementary.
Suzanne Rathbun, Personnel and Services Director.
Alicia Nelson, Financial Assistant. Lisa Markham, Assistant Manager.
Adam Stanley, Director of Technology. Tim McGee, Principal, North Smithfield High School. Joe Harwood, School Principal.
And I want to note how those three chose to sit as far away as possible when there's a table up here for everyone, but I don't think anyone's surprised.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Connell
All right, so just briefly with the FY20 process, in the executive summary that we provided along with all the budget documentation, there are a number of things that we want to point out that were either unique to this budget or general trends that we've had to try to accommodate. So we did submit for a 2.16% budget increase, and that every department was instructed to keep their budget as zero-based as possible. We did have a couple of departments that had exceeded the zero budget, and I'll explain why. But in order to get down to the 2.16 budget, we made a number of cuts and a number of changes into the way we operate. So first of all, I just want to, is this mic on? Okay. So we've made tremendous progress in the past couple of years in reducing the operational costs of running the school district. So one of the people I really want to highlight is LCD facilities, and Adam Stanley in technology. We have, with their leadership, been able to reverse a lot of contracts that we used to have to go to outside vendors, and we brought that work in-house. So if you've been to the high school or to NSCS, you would see a tremendous improvement to the facilities. New paint, lockers are updated, we have new lighting systems, new ceiling tiles. So these old buildings are looking now better than they ever have before. That is, and we leveraged our in-house talent in plumbing, electricity, and carpentry. So what we used to pay for vendors and contractors is now materials and parts. On the technology side, there are a number of upgrades to the buildings that, again, we would have had to have gone outside. We needed to update our security cameras. We had a price of $40,000 per school to update security cameras. Mr. Stanley and his team put together a plan, and we did it for $4,000 per school. We're still in the process. So a number of these efficiencies have helped us bring down our total operating budget. With the closing of Hallowell, we were anticipating a reduction in staff. And there's a table that comes up a little later that details exactly what we're reducing. And we've also have had a slight decline in enrollment. And so where the numbers present themselves, we're able to consolidate some classes and again, further reduce the staff. We keep it very fluid. And if we don't need a position or a classroom, we will reduce that position or classroom. Ideally, I'd like to handle these things through attrition, but there are times where we just outright have to eliminate the person. So we have about $600,000 in savings, personnel savings from reductions due to the closing of Hallowell or the reduction of enrollment in the district. We're increasing efficiencies in other areas, and one of the places that I'm most proud of is that we have a consortium. It's a Northwest School Consortium, and it is North Smithfield, Lincoln, Burrville, and Cumberland. And we've come together to do a lot of cost sharing and planning collectively. So instead of purchasing software based on our 1,600 and 1,700 students, we can purchase services and equipment based on the total population for the 5 districts. We've come together around CTEs. So we have an agreement with the Northwest School Consortium that if any of our students would like to attend a CTE within our district, we charge a flat fee as opposed to the per pupil fee that's charged throughout the state. So we're about sharing resources and giving students opportunity, but we don't necessarily want to break any town's budget. We have examples around the state where there are districts at the losing end of the CTE battle, and they're facing millions of dollars in deficits. We're trying to keep it equitable amongst our districts. We also get together to see if there are any other services that we can share or consolidate. So, for example, I'll give you a simple example. We have 5 districts, and 4 of the districts use Konica Minolta printers and copy machines. Each of the districts has a different company servicing that district's copy. So what we're doing is collectively, we go out for a joint RFP and we find one company at a reduced price to service our copy machines. So that's just an example of how we're looking to our neighbors to share costs and save money.
Superintendent,
Yes?
may I just ask, can you explain why CTE programs cost the district money?
So that gets onto the other side of as many cost savings that we put in, there are things that are taking away. So one of the areas that keeps growing every year are tuitions that we pay for students who decide to leave North Smithfield and attend other programs. Within the state, there are no rules of engagement. So if a high school offers a CTE program, any student can attend that program regardless of whether or not that program exists in their high school. So for example, if a North Smithfield student decides to go to Pontiac for their music CTE, we have a music CTE. There's no question ours is an excellent music program. We cannot say no to that student who wants to go to Pontiac. The tuition is $15,000. So North Smithfield will pay $15,000 for a student to go to another high school that has a program that may not necessarily be as good as the one we offer. And we can't say no. That's the rules the state has set up. And there's many, many examples of people choosing to go to these other programs and not necessarily for academic reasons. Because they want to play on the volleyball team at the other place. Their boyfriend or girlfriend goes to the other school. They have a cousin at the other school. And the local districts are stuck footing the bill. And so, as a superintendent's organization, we're looking to get legislation to at least, if we have a comparable program, we can say no. We can deny that request to go somewhere else. Now, we don't question the student who wants to go to a career tech school, who's not a career tech, to do wood or electrical or plumbing. We don't offer that. That's okay. And that's why these programs were designed. But the CTE portion is becoming a mass free-for-all. We've at least brought in some controls within Smithfield, Lincoln, Cumberland, Burrville, so that we follow more of a Massachusetts model, and we just charge a flat $5,000 for a student to attend one of our schools. But our first goal is to keep the student in North Smithfield. We have great programs. Second, if the student does need to leave, they can look at the charters, like for example, Beacon has a great arts program. They offer some things that we don't in North Smithfield High School. Woonsocket Career and Tech has trades programs that we don't currently offer. That's okay. I mean, we support that. If they want to go to an engineer or business or any of the standard CTEs, we would have them look within our consortium. And that last choice would be outside the consortium and a full price. So again, these are just some of the agreements that we've come together with our neighboring districts. So we share cost, we share RFPs, we share planning and research, and it just makes us run much more efficiently. So, however, there are things that keep growing every year that we're having a hard time getting control of. There is, as I already mentioned, students choosing to leave North Smithfield, and the way the rules of engagements are set up, we pay their tuitions. We've been going up about $150,000 a year in out-of-district regular ed tuitions plus transportation. We also have seen growth in high-cost special education out-of-district. We have students who come into North Smithfield, whether the families moved here or through a foster situation, that have needs that we cannot meet. They could be clinical needs, they could be residential needs, and so we do need to find placements for the students out of the district. Some of these placements are incredibly expensive. Some of these placements are attached to a nurse. We pay for a nurse, we pay for transportation, we pay for placement. There are some students require needs that exceed $100,000, $120,000 a year. So we look at a couple of different things. One, try to find an appropriate placement that maybe is more cost effective. Suzanne, our PBS director, has helped set up a Bradley partnership at North Smithfield High School. So we've given a room to Bradley. They run hospitals, they run programs. And for a significantly reduced cost, we can keep our students in district. We don't pay for the transportation. They're in their home district, and it's a great program. We're looking at models where we can expand that. In fact, last week I met with the superintendents from our consortium schools, districts, and the next thing we would like to do is map out our out-of-district students and then look for commonalities and look to see where maybe we can create programs within our own districts that we can then share with each other, as opposed to a high-cost private outside placement. So again, we're looking to bring these costs down. Students do have the right to not attend North Smithfield schools. We want to limit the financial exposure that we have. We do have students that need appropriate placements outside of North Smithfield. Again, we're looking to bring as many students as we can back. Outside of that, we have regular increases. Teachers go up on step. We have somewhere under a 2% annual increase in salaries. We have our busing contract goes up 2%. So there are standard costs that go up. So after all of these costs that have been accrued, after the reduction to state aid to education, which we have to make up, we're only looking at a 2.16% increase. And again, we try very hard to minimize the cost and the exposure to the town. We're cognizant of the community impact that this has. I don't know if there are any other questions or...
Yes, Mr. Superintendent, do you have an appointed body of personnel who are working now trying to change legislation as far as if we can provide as good, if not better, to a student that they should not be able to go to another school? Maybe there are, friends there, relatives there, which to me is, I can't understand it and I don't think it's right. So do we have a body working with our own people in Northern Rhode Island?
So there's a couple of things. The Northwest Consortium that I mentioned, I'm the president of that, so I'm trying to spearhead this and keep it going. Frank Pilater, Dr. Pilater in Floraville started this, that sharing that we talked about. So we put that together within our region. The state is looking at this as a model. There are other parts of the state that have tried to do this, and they haven't gotten as far as we have. I'm also on the superintendent, the RISA, Rhode Island Superintendents Association Legislation Subcommittee. And so I'm working with the other superintendents and with, as part of RISA, Superintendents Association, to get this legislation happening. So we have the language, and we have a couple of people who would be willing to sponsor. So I'm hoping that comes up relatively quickly. But keep in mind, we do have districts in the state that started the CTE process a while back. They're making money on this. So they're not necessarily looking to limit the movement across borders. We get it. We want students to attend good programs. We want to have the best programs. But there are times where a student may choose to go elsewhere. We're just trying to put in those controls, not just the yes, no, accept, deny, but also cost controls, so it's equitable. I'm hoping that this year we will have legislation that will bring some rules to this.
Superintendent, thank you. Help me understand this a little bit. On the reduction worksheet that was part of our package, tonight request to the FY '20 budget. I think I'm trying to piece this together. If you look down at the bottom, reduced out of district special education projects, is that because of the relationship we have with Bradley now doing it? Is that part of it?
Yeah, we're looking to recall a couple of students. We don't necessarily know fully if we can. We suspect we can. So, but it's not 100%. The other thing that was a question mark for us is that the state, I think it's still a debate. Within special education, we provide services until the student is 21. The rules changed this year. It's no longer to 21, it's now through 21 to 22. We have a student that we had anticipated still to end services at 21, but with the change in the regulations, we may retain the student to 22. And it's a very, very expensive, intensive placement. So I'll have to say, this area where we did not